Some of you had questions on the Homegrown lab, and I know it was a little crazy in class trying to teach you all this programming in like 15-20 minutes. But if you have your own data and you want to create a regression for it, I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. I'm actually going to use, I think it is period 5's data to plot this for you. So to bring up the list screen, you're going to press Stat and then Edit. That brings up your list, and then your list 1 is going to be your X value. So you can go ahead and type those in, I think, which were the day numbers. So I think it was 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10. And your days might vary. And then you can go ahead and insert in your Y values. Oh, hey Brennan, you just emailed me your homework. The seeds germinated. So on day 1 there was 0, day 3 2, day 5 5, and I think day 7 and day 10 were both 8. So once you have that data plotted, you can go to your table. Make sure your table settings, or actually your window settings, excuse me, just press window. Your window, since you didn't have negative days, you just make that 0. And your X max 15, go up to 15 days, not 115. And we could do the same thing for the seeds germinator, not going to have negative values. So it'll just be dealing in quadrant 1. Good. After you do that, you can go ahead and quit. And go to your Y equals screen. And you want to turn on plot 1. To do that, go up to plot 1 and press enter. And now we can press graph. And this means we're plotting all the data in list 1 and list 2. So now you have your data plotted. Now we're going to try to figure out a regression to fit this. So to do this, you're going to go back to statistics, move over to calculate, and we're going to try a linear regression first, just a line. So you go down to, actually let's clear this out. So again, stat, move over to calc, and number 4 is linear regression. And then your list 1, you can see my key press history, but it's going to be second 1, comma, second list 2. That's pulling the data from list 1, list 2. And then we are going to insert it into our equation y1. This is probably the hardest part. So you go to variables, y vars, function, y1. What this is going to do, it's going to paste that whole equation into y1. And you find your a and b. Now, you can see my graph coming up. I got a line that's fitting it. But you're going to also want to turn diagnostics on to get your r squared. To do that, do second catalog if your r squared isn't showing up, and then go down to D, diagnostics, oops, going a little too far, D, and the r squared value will only come up if diagnostics are on, and I'm skipping it again. Let's go back to it. There it is. Okay, press enter, turn them on, and now we can do that whole thing again. So stat, calc, 4, and then do second 1, comma, second 2 for list 1, list 2. Then go to stat, calc, actually vars, excuse me, vars, y vars, function, y1. I know that was kind of fast, but you can always repeat it. Now we get our r squared value of 0.899, which is pretty good, and we see the graph. Now we're going to do another regression real quick, so we have all the data in. We're going to do it for a quadratic, so go down to number 5, and then we do the same thing again, list 1, comma, list 2, comma, vars, and you're going to go to y vars, function. This time we're going to paste it in y2, so we get our curve, y2, press enter, and now we get an r-squared value of 0.96, and that is closer to 1, so that's a better regression to use. If you use the large screen and we go to graph, we can see this curve, and we notice that the curve, the quadratic, actually fits the data better, and it's probably also more meaningful. So that's how you plot your regression. We are going to go with the quadratic equation because the r-squared value is higher, closer to 1, and also you can see that this curve is probably going to come back down. The seeds that are going to be germinated are going to follow it. It's going to decrease. Alright, now on to plotting this in Desmos, specifically just plotting the points, or the scatter plot. Alright, so now we're in Desmos and we're graphing this. We have our curve, but you're going to want to graph your points. To graph your points, it's really simple. All you do is use brackets, and you can just plot them. So for our first day, I think there was 0 seeds. Our second day, or actually our third day, there was 2. For our fifth day, there was 8, or no, fifth day there was 5. Actually, I think it was 1 through 5, 5, 5. Seventh day there was 8, and then our 10th day there was also 8. So here's a way you can quickly kind of just graph it, plot the data, and identify your points. I know some of you are trying to graph this in Grapher. You can Google search how to plot points in Grapher, but I think it's a little bit harder than it should be. So for at least the Homegrown, I would recommend just using Desmos. Alright, hope this helps.